So in this class what I'm gonna have to do is now to write a code for the logging in activity. So when the user first actually open the application, he would be actually prompted with the user login and as well as for the password login. So if I just get into the login.xml file, and here I'm going to find out the two edit boxes plus a login button and the interface. So the user going to put on the username and password in here and place on the login button, and then he will be entered into the application friend list activity, which will be actually this list of friends. So let's get started. I'm going to create a few variables in here at the startup. I'm going to create a public static final int and connected to service is equal to 0. Public static final int fill both username password. That's it. I've actually used the connected to services value and given it a value of 0, so that it's going to help us to determine that whether the service is connected or not. So if the service is connected, it will return a value of 0. If the username means the both username and password has not been filled out, then it's going to give it a value of 1. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to create two variables like public static final string authentication failed is equal to failed. So if the authentication failed, then it's going to be stored in a string value. And then public static final string, I'm going to refer to the friend list with this variable. That's it. So it is actually referring to the friend list. This is actually a list of friends in here. So I'm going to press once again, hit enter. I'm going to create two mother variables like static final int make sure username password 2 and public static final int connected to network. So from its name appeared, I assume that you're gonna have now be familiar with this concept that sorry, I'm just gonna make it network. That's it. Okay, so now we have actually, if the network is connected, then it will be actually a value of 3. We have actually assigned a value of 3 when the network is connected, and we have actually assigned a value of 2 to prompt a user to have its username and password make it corrected. I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to create a reference to the edit boxes, two edit boxes which I've used in login.xml file. So public edit text username, public edit text password, and then I'm going to create, and I'm just going to import the statements in here. That's it, and save it. Then I'm going to create a reference to the manager class. What is manager class? It is actually providing us the it is actually not a class, but it is actually an interface, and it is actually providing us an unimplemented methods like username, send message, authenticate user, and we're going to be actually now implementing all these methods with their network connections and signing up the user and all these information. So I'm going to cross it, and then I'm going to create a service and a reference to manager class. So public manager service provider, and then I'm going to use I'm going to now create a menu, two menu options, as we have seen in the demo video, that when a user clicks on the emulator menu button or the device menu button, he will be prompted with two options like sign up and exit the app out. So I'm going to create that options now. So public static final int, and that will be like sign up is equal to menu dot first, and public static final int exit is equal to menu dot first plus 1. So that will be actually the first option for signing up, and that will be the second option for exiting, and I'm just going to import the statement in here. Now I'm going to pause the video for a bit, and then I'm going to write code of the service connection method, and then I'm going to explain it to you that why we are using this method. So now that I have written out actually a service connection method, so actually what is service connection? So it is actually not a service connection method, but it is actually a class, and we are actually instantiating a service connection class in here, and we are actually giving it a reference in here. And then what we are doing is we are actually providing a method on service connected method. In here we are passing two parameters, that is a class name and a service, iBinder service. Now let me explain what this method and what this class is for. This is called when the connection with the service has been established, giving us actually the service object we can use to interact with the service. Because we have bound to an explicit service that we know is running in our own process. I'm just gonna, okay. So we can cause its iBinder to a concrete class and directly access it. So that is why we have used on service connected method and a service connection class. Service connection class is actually a built-in class, and we have actually imported it in here. Then I've used actually the service provider, that is actually a manager class, and then we have put the manage messaging service iBinder service and getting the service with the help of getting service method. Now you would be thinking that what is actually messaging service and where that come from. Messaging service is actually a class which has been provided by Google Inc., and you really don't need to worry about that what this class is for, but this class is actually providing a messaging service. Messaging service class is an implementation of an application service that runs locally in the same process on the application. The link local service controller or the link local service binding classes show how to interact with the service. We are actually making use of the notification manager when interesting things happen to the service. So that is generally have now background services should interact with the user rather than doing something more destructive such as calling starting activity. This is what the message service class is what about. You just have to copy the messaging service class inside the package. You should make a package com.without.android-chatter.serve and then put actually the messaging service class inside this package, and the messaging service is actually a part of the exercise files. It would be provided with the exercise files, so you just have to put it in here and then everything will be perfectly fine on, and it would be actually also automatically placed out inside the project folder. So I double click on the messaging service, then you will find that it is actually a copyright 2007 Google Inc., and we have actually implemented and extending the services and plus implementing the manager and updater class as manager and updater class. So it's going to be providing us the different opportunities like that. So username, taking message, friend list updated, message list updated. So the message which is actually going on among the users or between the users would be taken care of by this messaging service. It will be actually taking care of the messaging between or among the users. Now let me explain the on service disconnected method, what this can do. This method is called when the connection with the service has been unexpectedly disconnected. That is, its process crashed because it is running in the same process and it's actually not going to happen in that case. So for that purpose, I provided the service provider a null value and provided a toast which would be actually prompting the user that this local service has been stopped.